Hello there humans and fur babies, and welcome back to my channel. Now I've had a viewer video request. I've been asked to make a face mask to protect us during these troubled times. So I live in Asia, as you know, and I wear a mask all the time. Now there's two things I have issues with the masks. One, usually the elastic goes behind the ear and your ears get really sore. Two is that they're single use. And essentially, they're made out of polyester, which is plastic. So with all of these masks being worn at the moment, you can only wear them once and then they're going to go into landfill. So I really wanted to make a mask that was reusable, and if it does end up in landfill, it biodegrades. So the mask we're going to be making today is using everything that you have at home. If you don't have elastic, you can just use fabric ties that you can make out of the same material. And also, this is all hand stitched, so you don't need a sewing machine. Does sound like it's going to take forever, but believe me, you can probably make one of these in an hour while you're watching Netflix. Also, with my mask, on the back of the mask, or the inside of the mask, is a little pocket, and inside the pocket is a bit of tissue, which once you've used it once, you can throw it out. This you can put in your compost. You can put this in the washing machine. Once it's dry, you can put this in a Ziploc bag in the freezer and it kills any bacteria left in the cotton. And it's ready to reuse again. So it's free from bacteria and it also is reusable. So this is what we're going to be making today. Let me show you how it works with the double elastic. Using the bottom elastic first, put it over your head. Slip it into place. Pull the bottom one over again. And there you have it, wrapping around your head. Super comfortable, practical, gorgeous. So this is what we're going to be making today. Okay, let's go. So here's what you're going to need. A piece of A4 paper, a felt tip pen, a ruler, a pair of scissors, some thread, a needle, some pins, and some elastic. You're also going to need an A4 size piece of material, preferably something natural. Cotton, linen, etc. If you don't have any material lying around at home, you might be able to use an old shirt that you have, or an old pillowcase or sheet that might have torn, even an old dish towel if you have it. I have tons of fabric lying around home, so I'm actually going to use some fabric that I have. We're going to start by making a pattern. So grab your A4 piece of paper, your felt tip pen and your ruler. Along the long edge of the paper, we're going to make the following marks. 1 centimeter, 8.5, 14, 15 and a half, 21, and 28.5. Flip the paper around and do the same on the other side. You can join these points if you like, just to make it clearer, but it's not really essential. Where the line meets the edge of the paper, we're going to cut little triangles. These are called notches. It helps us when we're drawing the pattern onto the fabric that we know exactly where those lines are supposed to be. So go around all of the paper and cut out the notches. Now we're going to trace the pattern onto the fabric. So lay the fabric out flat, put your pattern on top and line up the edge of it with the edge of the fabric. Draw around the whole pattern, making sure you put in the marks where we've just made the notches. Cut out the fabric, and then make a tiny little snip where the notches are, probably about 3 millimeters. The first thing we're going to do is hem the short edge, which ends up being the opening for the flap on the inside of the mask. We've given it a 1 centimeter seam allowance, so essentially what we're going to do is do a 5 millimeter fold and then a 5 millimeter fold, so we've got a nice clean seam. If you have an iron at home, which I know most people don't these days, it will make things a little bit easier. You can fold the 1 centimeter down and iron it, and then you can tuck under the 5 millimeter and iron it again. It just makes it a little bit easier when you're hand sewing it. But again, if you don't have it, it doesn't matter. Just be careful when you're folding it under and pinning it. Right, now we're ready to start hand stitching. We're going to use a very, very simple stitch technique for this. We're literally going to go in and out. It's probably the easiest stitch you can possibly do. So thread your needle and start by going in through all layers. Go through the same spot a couple of times just to make it strong. You can also tuck in that end piece of thread into the hem to hide it, and just stitch over the top. Now continue stitching straight along the seam, going in and back through, in and back through, probably about 2 or 3 millimeters each until you get to the other end. At the end, just go back over the same spot a couple of times like we did at the front, and you create a little loop, and then you put your needle through and then you pull it and it creates a little knot, and then you can cut it off and you're ready to go. Next, let's create the pleat on the front. Look at the small little notches that we made, and we're going to fold that into a pleat. So where the notch is going to be one crease, and where the other notch is going to fold back and create the other side of the pleat. It creates like a Z shape. So once you've done that, pin it and flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. And what's going to happen is it's going to create a little pocket. And that pocket is going to be on the downside of the mask, which is going to help to hug the chin and also cradle the nose. Once you've created that section, again, if you've got an iron, press it. It makes it a little bit easier. And I've changed the position of the pins just to make it easier to show you. Now let's measure 2.5 centimeters from the outside edge of the mask to the center of the mask. This is where we're going to finish stitching. Okay, pleat's complete. Now let's add the elastic. If you don't have elastic, you can use string or the self fabric, same as the mask, just to create a tie, and you can tie it at the back, but I had elastic, so I'm going to use it. So I'm cutting it at 35 centimeters. And so where the pleat is, again, it's on the downside, you should have one more notch, like that. So we're going to pin the elastic on the upper side of the notch, closer to the shorter edge of the mask. Then we're going to stitch it in across and do the same on the bottom half. I'm using a slightly different stitch this time. So you started how you started the stitch before, but instead of going in and out, you'll go in and out, but you'll go back half a stitch and then out, and then back half a stitch and then out. So your stitches are going to end up being shorter, and it's going to be more compact, because this is going to be a part that's going to be used a lot, so we just need to make it stronger. Okay, now our elastic is attached and we can fold this up and we're basically nearly finished. So where the elastic was on the top side of the notch, we're actually going to fold it to the underside of that notch and pin it. And the elastic is going to be folded in almost like a burrito. So we've folded both sides in and now it looks like a little burrito, and we're going to stitch along that edge. Again, in the pattern that we created, we allowed for a 1 centimeter seam allowance, so that's how far we're going to stitch from that edge. Now all of our hand stitching is complete. As you can see, once we've stitched those side seams, we've created a little pocket inside. Now we can just take some scissors and trim off those edges, the excess elastic and any frayed ends that we have. And we can turn the whole thing inside out. Pull the elastic to pop out the corners. And voila, we have our mask. Complete with our little pocket to put some tissue in as an extra filter. Thank you so much for watching today's requested video. Please give this video a thumbs up to show your support. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new bits and pieces. Now if you've got any other requests, please put them in the comments below and I'll try and get to them. And remember, wear a mask, stay safe, stay inside, and if you are going to go out, wash your hands and take your new mask. Stay safe, humans and fur babies. Head on over to Inside the Round on Instagram for some more pics of today's creations. Until next time, stay safe and get creative.